In this video, we're going to use the administrator functions of MetaLogic's Essentials for Office 365. So in order to use these functions, firstly we launch the software, we click on the Administrator tab, and next we click on Manage Office 365. So from here you need to enter your tenant details. So firstly we give it a name. So I'm going to call this mod 682.351 administration. And that's what will appear on the left here when we load this information. So next I need to enter the global admin user. And the password. And click connect. So that will load an additional menu there in the navigator. And when I expand this, we'll see we now have additional subgroups in here that we can load. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the licenses. So I'm going to double click on Office 365 licenses. And what this does is it loads a list of the users in the tenant and the licenses they've been assigned. So I scroll to the right there, you can see all the licenses they've been assigned. So from here I can right click on a user and choose to edit licenses. And from here I can remove certain licenses and perhaps assign them to someone else. Within this menu also there are some quick actions, so I can enable or disable their account, for example, or reset their password if they're required. Within this section as well you can also create views, so I can create a new view and call it, let's call it new view for the example, and choose specific licenses that I want to show. So perhaps I just want to show Sway and Delve. Click OK. And click yes to open the created view. And now you see we've got the list of users and then just those who have Sway, or just a column showing Sway and Delve analytics. So it's easy to see who's been assigned those licenses and who hasn't. Within this view, you can also carry out audits on individual users or groups of users by right-clicking and choosing Audit User. Now, in order for this to work, auditing has to be enabled in Office 365. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sign into one of my demo tenants that doesn't have auditing enabled and enable it so that you see the process. Once auditing is enabled, there's a slight delay before you can start to run user audits because it has to gather that data. So let's sign into this tenant, mod 731413. So okay. Mod 731413. 731413. Okay, so now that we're signed in, we need to click on the grid up at the top here and go down to admin. So if I expand out this section and go down to admin centers, and just scroll down, we have the Security and Compliance Center. And you see on the right here, we have this section here which says Search for Activity. That's just loading now. Okay, so it says search for activity. Want to know what your users and admins are doing? Start recording activities in Office 365. So this is the section where you turn auditing on. If I click Start Recording now, and now click Turn On. So it says when you turn on this on, the user and admin activity in your organization will be recorded to the Office 365 audit log and available to review in a report. So I click Turn On. I've now switched auditing on. So that's a crucial step before you start running user audits in Essentials for Office 365. You need to enable this. So now, if I move back to Essentials, for the tenant we're working on here, I've already enabled auditing, so we can carry out an audit on a user or group of users. So in order to do this, we right-click on the user and click Audit User. Next, we need to specify a date range. So specify a range in which the information will be captured. So today is the 3rd of March. So let's go from the 1st of March to the 3rd of March. There we go. And from 9:56 to 9:56 and click OK. So this is now going to glean that information from that user from the audit log. And it takes a couple of minutes to run. So now the audit is complete, you can see that 535 events have been captured for this user. If I expand out that user, you can see the first column shows what was acted upon, a document, a JPEG, and so on, or parts of the site. Second column here shows the date and time the action was carried out, and the third column shows the nature of the action or operation, so things like file accessed, viewed, deleted, and so on. Scroll along to the right and you can see the IP address for that user. So if I export this report to CSV, there's some more interesting analysis we can do with it. So I'm going to call it admin audit 001 and click save. That's now exported to CSV. I'm going to navigate to it. There it is, admin audit. And what I'm going to do is expand these columns out slightly. There we go. And I'm going to format as a table and click that my table has headers. Click OK. And I'll just expand that out slightly more so we can see it a bit more clearly. So the most interesting column here is the audit operation. So this is where you can filter under the types of actions that were carried out. So for example here, I could just choose maybe file deleted and click OK. And it's going to show me all the files that user deleted. If I expand out this column here, we can see which of those files they were, the date and time they were deleted, and over on the right, the IP address that was used when they were deleted. Another interesting audit from here is the user logged in. So if I go down to the bottom, user logged in, we can see the date and time the user logged in and the IP address they used to log in. They used to log in, sorry. So you can see the sort of behavioral patterns they're using. So this is all fairly normal if we just drill into it a bit more. So this is 3 in the afternoon, 11:30 in the morning, all kind of normal behavior. But if there was something unusual like 4 a.m., that might be something you want to investigate. So that was a simple audit for a single user. If you select multiple users, so again, I can load that either by clicking on licenses or Office 365 users. So I could select 3, for example, and right click and choose audit user. It will run the report for 3 users and you can then create a CSV for 3 users. So that's auditing users. So the final thing we can do within the Administrator tab is collect statistical data. So in order to do this, we browse to this section we want to collect the statistical data on. So for this example, I'm going to collect statistical data across the OneDrives. And you can either select and click Collect Data or right-click and choose Collect Statistical Data. Okay, so I'm going to call this Project OneDrives. Going to drop down here to Office 365 Services and enter the global admin. And click Connect. Okay, so next I'm going to choose to include OneDrive for Business. And I'm going to click Browse. This is showing me a list of all the users. I'm going to click Check All. So I'm going to run this report across all OneDrives and click OK. Now it's prompting me to save this CSV. So I'm going to OneDrive users CSV and click Save. So now it says you've selected 24 users. Under the advanced options, we can choose to notify someone when this report is done, or even save this report to SharePoint. We can also generate a command line script for the report and run it from a script, or schedule it to happen at a later point in time. I'm just going to click Finish and run it immediately. So other data is collected successfully. We can either dismiss this message or click View Log to see the log of collecting the statistical data. So here you see there's a line item for each user's OneDrive. So now if I move over to the left, I've got a new menu down here which says OneDrive Statistics, which was the name of the project I gave, and I've got a list of the OneDrives. So I double click on 24 OneDrives, we'll see the statistics for all of those OneDrives, and we can zoom in on each of these graphs and see the usage. So the size distribution here shows who's using the most and these data on their OneDrives. We can also look at the user activity across OneDrives, or the types of things people are saving, for example, document extensions by account. account. Now this is across all, but I can drill down to a specific user and see the activity across their individual OneDrive, for example. And this would be the same if I ran the report on a site or site collection. I can go in at the top level or then drill down and view the statistical data for that. These reports we can export to Excel, PDF, and also in some cases CSV. So those are the administrator functions of MetaLogic's Essentials for Office 365.